Hey guys, it's RodimusPrimal. I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the new reveals for the Masters of the Universe Revelation. New images have shown up for the new animated series that's going to be on Netflix, and we also have some images about the toy line as well, and how the story, which is going to be a sequel to the original series, how it's going to line up. And there's some good and there's some bad and there's some things that I'm very cautiously optimistic about, and you'll understand what I'm talking about as I get into it. So without further ado, let's sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Okay, so we're getting our first look at this, and we already know the show is being made by Kevin Smith, and that we're hoping that the show is good. It is going to premiere in 2 parts. The first part is going to be premiering on Netflix on July 23rd. And getting our first image here, well, it looks cool. I will say, the animation is done by Powerhouse Animation, which we already know is a very good animation studio. It kind of gives me the vibe of the 2002 He-Man cartoon, if you guys are familiar with that. And it seems to be that they look like their classic selves, both He-Man and Battle Cat, as he comes charging in with his with his sword. And just I want to take a look at the images first before I really get into the actual story about what they talk about. He-Man looks great, I will say, absolutely. And this battle here against He-Man and Skeletor, we already know that Mark Hamill is going to be voicing Skeletor, and that Chris Wood is going to be voicing He-Man. And then we get this wonderful image of the Sorceress. I was really skeptical about what they were going to do for the Sorceress, how they were going to make her look, whether or not she was going to look like her classic self. And I'm very glad that He-Man so far, Skeletor, and the Sorceress look like their classic selves. Same thing here with Skeletor. It seems that in this image, and I'm just basing this on the image so far, maybe either Skeletor is powering up, maybe he himself gets the power sword. We don't know, and I'll get into that as it moves on. This image of Adam looks great. They're going with that 2002 feeling where Adam himself looks different than He-Man. So he looks younger, and it kind of gives him that appearance of youth. Whereas the original cartoon, it was just basically He-Man with a palette swap. And Teela here, she kind of looks a little bit older than her normal animated self, but she does sport the classic costume, and it's updated a little bit more like a skirt in a way, instead of like the way that the original was kind of a little bit more like a leotard. This one is a little bit more like a battle dress, and I'm all right with that, because if you remember the 2002 cartoon, she kind of wore a battle dress that was very similar in appearance. And then we got a picture of Moss Man. He looks good. Beast Man looks fantastic. And then I take a look at this image, and this is where I start getting skeptical, just looking at the images alone. Like, what's going on with Orko here? Why do they make Orko look like decrepit? Orko never looked decrepit. He was a weird elf-looking wizard, but he didn't look decrepit. I don't know who this new character is. It says her name is Andra. Apparently, I should think she's from the comics. I'm not very familiar with her character in particular, but hey, new character, very cool. If we've never seen her before. Evil Lyn looks like Evil Lyn, and Roboto, I don't know why he's wearing a poncho. Why a robot would wear a poncho? It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess it's just what it is. But this is Teela. What did they do to Teela? She's supposed to become the Sorceress, right? If the Sorceress dies, if you guys don't understand He-Man lore, if you guys are not familiar at all with He-Man lore, Teela is the daughter of the Sorceress. And, the Sorceress wiped her memory of the, so that she doesn't know who she is. And Man-at-Arms, who is the is basically the guy who makes sure that the king has armaments to protect the kingdom, and he adopted Teela, and she became captain of the guard, which is fine, but she's very womanly, at the same time a battle-hardened warrior. I don't like the way this looks. Like, what? I don't not like her appearance here at all. especially when you consider here, if you, this is, I typed in 2002 Teela. So you can kind of get an understanding about what Teela looked like back in 2002. You know, she, you know, smile, like she, this is what I was talking about, how she had a battle outfit that was similar to her original appearance, but was done in a little bit more modern-esque way that gave us a proper look to Teela. Now, this particular image here, I'm actually going to bring it up on He-Man.org, is an image of He-Man and Teela because they are supposed to be a couple. Prince Adam, or when he becomes King Adam, marries Teela, and they have a son named Hero, right? And apparently Hero is going to be in this show. So I'm curious as to whether or not they're going to go with that storyline, because He-Man and Teela are supposed to have a son who's supposed to be Hero. So taking a look back at this image, like, all right, what's going on here? So let's get into the actual story about what they're saying is supposed to happen. This is where I get skeptical about the show. I mean, I just take a look at that image, and I'm just like, all right, I'm liking the way most of the character designs look. Just not a fan of Teela. Split into 2 parts, with 5 episodes, part 1 premiering on Netflix on July 23rd. The show features an all-star cast, right? Since it is a sequel series, the main mythos remains intact. Prince Adam, the son of the ruling family of the realm of Eternia, uses the Sword of Power to transform into the chiseled He-Man to defend his kingdom from threats, mostly from Skeletor and his forces. But now, as Smith says, the shackles are off to build a richer lore and explore different aspects of these beloved characters. We get to see them engage in not just clashing swords, but in far deeper conversations. Oh boy. Than we've ever seen them before. He explains that it's not just simply like these two dudes have been trying to beat each other up for decades. We get to tell the stories of abuse. We get all kinds of stories of isolation, grief. We use these characters as long as they've been around, and most people consider them toys or action figures to tell insanely human stories in a very human world. Okay. So from what we understand, halfway through part 1, and just reading through as you read through this, is they are quite literally going to have He-Man, something happen, and then it's going to be like a time jump. So, and I've been skeptical a little bit about the show. Not cautiously optimistic has been the right word. You know, I went into the Netflix War for Cybertron trilogy with high hopes. And I was kind of like, I was brought down a little bit, especially with the portrayal of Optimus Prime. And I'm hoping that they don't do the same thing to He-Man that they did to Optimus Prime and make him a sorry sap. Because that's not the character of He-Man. He-Man himself he's a hero. He should be. And they shouldn't remove that from the character. Mind you, that they could have characters go through more on their journey while remaining true to the lore. And that's something I'm very, very skeptical about. And, you know, especially when you have, you know, the line from Optimus Prime that says, tell me that you forgive me. And it just does not work as a line. And so here you might see that same thing out of He-Man. And I'm hoping don't have that same thing done to He-Man that was done to Optimus Prime. You know, it's you know, I've been talking about this for quite some time, is that you don't want to take away from what makes a character great. They should remain aspirational heroes. You know, He-Man, Optimus Prime, Luke Skywalker, you know, Captain America. Like these are people that you should go, that's the ideal. That's the one you know you can say, like, they are the ones who remain true to who they are. Now, you know, Smith remembers speaking with Netflix's director of original series, Ted Biaselli, who came with a childhood love of his sword and sorcery saga and sat in the writer's room tossing out ideas. He says, do me a favor. When I used to watch the shows as a kid, I legitimately thought He-Man was always on the verge of getting killed by Skeletor. I believed in the sake. Just make me believe that again. People would see me as some sort of goofy IP, but this is a rich tapestry, a world full of characters. Please don't talk down to it. Don't make fun of it. Don't wink. Just treat it like Shakespeare. And those were our marching orders. So what this guy is trying to say, and what I'm trying to say as well, is that, yeah, treat our characters with dignity and respect. Treat them with the same love and admiration that we had when we grew up and enjoyed these characters. Those of us who grew up on it, if you're trying to make a series for us, then the show should be done in a way that attracts us to it, and at the same time doesn't talk down to us for what we loved and we enjoyed about it. And you know, at the same time, Smith later on goes on to say that only certain people know the secret that Prince Adam is really He-Man. We build our entire story on who he was left out of the secret and the damaging triple down effects of that. That's terrible. That sounds terrible. Okay, I'm sorry, but that does sound terrible. It's a story about a hero who has to live under the deception in order to protect those he loves, but it's about how that deception rots at the core. Again, this is terrible. The whole idea behind of secret identity is to protect those whom you love. So we're pretty much we're dismantling secret identities, right? You know, like he's saying that the game has changed. So I'm like, all right, I understand that you want the characters to grow. I understand you want the characters to evolve, but there comes a point where we want to be brought back into that world and we want to love that world again and enjoy it again. So I'm telling you, this is where I'm like, please don't let this be bad. Don't let this be bad. So with that said, we get our first look at the toys. And the toys is where, you know, obviously if kids are going to watch this, are kids going to go, am I going to buy these toys at the stores? Well, if a show's on Netflix, most likely they probably will, because it seems like Netflix is one of the now places that people are watching cartoons now, since Cartoon Network is trying to go for a different demographic instead of those who like to watch cartoons. So, looking at them, He-Man looks awesome. Skeletor looks pretty cool. I like the fact that he's got a cape. Evil Lyn's new look. I like this look for Evil Lyn. I kind of like take the original and now she's wearing a new outfit. I'm cool with that. It's still reminiscent of her original look. Moss Man looks great. You know, the new toy seems to come with a bunch of different, accessories. And obviously the Sword of Power looks good. Really poseable. And I like the fact that it's the original costume updated. You know, in a sense that the original costume has got, you know, extra stuff added to it. Skeletor looks really, really cool here. I'm loving this design, like really loving it as I'm scrolling down and taking a look at these images, because it seems that they've done, now this looks cool. This is, I'm guessing that Skeletor finally wins. You know, I'm wondering if this show is going to be like Beast Machines. This is what I was talking about, like, again, how I'm cautiously optimistic. Beast Machines, you know, Beast Wars ended with Megatron was defeated. They were going back to Cybertron. He broke free, and so he kind of technically won because he took over Cybertron. So Skeletor is going to get the power of Grayskull. Very much like the 1987 canon film, where Skeletor got the gold armor. It would have been cooler if he had gold armor. That would have been or maybe he might even have a gold variant. Who knows? Because this actually does look really cool. Like Skeletor gets the power of Grayskull and becomes, you know, this wicked evil powerhouse. You know, he comes with the Sword of Power himself. Okay, so yeah, he himself gets the Sword of Power, and so Adam has to come back and get the sword. Now here's the thing. Teela's destiny is to become the sorceress. So she is supposed to be the next guardian of Grayskull. So her journey is to become the next sorceress. She's supposed to marry He-Man. So there has to be that connection there. Skeletor has to be defeated so that Adam becomes He-Man again. Teela becomes a sorceress. That has to happen that way. And if it doesn't happen that way, if it turns out to be something else, and the relationship between He-Man or Adam and Teela goes differently than that, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be disappointed. I really am, because those characters are characters that we hold true to, and we want them to remain true to that, and we don't want that to change. Looking at Moss Man, this Moss Man figure looks really, really cool, even though he's not flocked, right? I'm perfectly fine with him not being flocked because now he comes with a bunch of accessories, very cool looking accessories. I'm wondering what the rest of the toy line is going to look like. I do like this as well. Teela actually not Teela, Evil Lyn comes with extra accessories for where she can change her head so she doesn't have the headdress, so she has long hair. That's a very, very cool feature because in the original show, she also had taken her helmet off once before. And so did in the 2002 cartoon as well, where she has white hair. There was even an episode where Evil Lyn teamed up with Teela. So I would not be surprised if this is kind of like, well, Evil Lyn was portrayed by Skeletor, and now Evil Lyn is teaming up with Teela to try and bring Adam back to become He-Man again so that Teela can become the Sorceress again. I would be cool with that. If they go with that route and they actually do it right, I'd be happy. But again, I'm cautiously optimistic. All right, this looks cool. Battle Cat looks cool. Are you able to take the armor off? Yes, you are able to take the armor off. And he looks like Cringer. That's great. That's actually fantastic. I'm looking at these toys, and I'm very, very positive about the toy line. Very positive about the toy line. But I am cautiously optimistic when it comes down to this. And so, with that said, I don't know what else to say. I'm hoping it's good, but it has the possibility of being completely awful and spitting in the face of fans, longtime fans, who want their heroes to remain true to whom they are. But I wonder what you guys think about this new reveals for the Masters of the Universe revelation. Whether you think that the cartoon is going to be any good or it's going to be terrible, and whether or not you are excited for the toy line, even though you may or may not be excited about the cartoon. Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. I have many more geek-related stuff for videos coming on this channel, including Godzilla, He-Man, Ninja Turtles, and what have you. So stay tuned for all that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.